Hi, I'm Matt Little. I'm the Director of Counselling and Education at Empowering Awareness.Asia, and I'm a proud sponsor of this podcast.
I'm actually sorry that we missed each other so many times, but I'm glad that finally we make this happen.
So thank you. I have gone through your profile. I can see you're doing wonderful work. So I thought to tell about your work to my audience.
That'll be great. I would love to share about anything I do. Feel free to ask me any questions.
So before that, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this clip. I think this would be a really interesting one, and I'd like to thank my host Sai for making this arrangement. So a bit about myself. Look, I am obviously have had a very long career. So I started my career as a lawyer. I'm actually legally qualified in Singapore, Hong Kong, as well as the UK. Thereafter, I actually joined the investment banking. I worked for almost most of the banks you can think of, so RBS, UBS, Morgan Stanley. And then after that, I went on to fund management. And there was the first time I started to look after fintech companies. And that's what got me very interested in technology. And finally, I had the wonderful opportunity of running a technology group for one of the wealthy families here in Hong Kong. And that was how I started my career as in a C-suite management position. And I found it very interesting since then. I hope that was a good introduction. Thank you.
So coming from the banking and starting from being a lawyer. So how is this experience and what do you feel about this being in present role?
Yeah, so I think it would make a huge difference. I think a lot of CEOs that I meet today mostly come from a technology background. And they tend to look at things from a pure technology perspective. And I think when you think about technologies such as AI and blockchain, which is really completely disrupting the way we live and the way we work, um, that's when we need to spend a little bit more time thinking about ethics, thinking about potential legal and regulatory ramifications. And people who don't do that, obviously, there have been a lot of consequences. And I would really strongly encourage everyone to think about that before they actually do something that they might regret later. But I think coming back to your question, the short answer is that coming from that background certainly has helped me try to grow any technology business in a very sustainable manner, which would be looked upon by regulators in a very positive light. I think that's very important.
So Invess, you are group CEO for it. So what is it and why you started it?
Okay, so we started Invest about 2 years ago. It originally Invest was a very traditional finance type institution or company, and what we were trying to do was to find ways in which we can actually outperform market performance. Right. So, Warren Buffett always says that the 99% of asset managers actually underperform, the standard index. And being able to outperform an index is actually the holy grail for investment professionals. But we have done a very fantastic job over the last 5 years. Using our algorithm trading, we've actually outperformed consistently the S&P 500 by about 20% every year. So that has been an amazing performance. Today, we're actually enhancing that further by using artificial intelligence because machine learning can only go so far. They don't adapt when the market changes. And that's when AI comes into the picture because AI is a little bit more autonomous. And then what we want to go and do further is to then move this onto the blockchain, right? Because today, any very sophisticated investment opportunity is only available to the richest people in any part of the world. And we feel that it is important for us to democratize this opportunity. And therefore, we are thinking of using blockchain to basically fractionalize that opportunity, democratize it, and make it available to as many people as possible. Because we think that wealth is, it's a right of every single person and not just the people who are wealthy.
So democratizing this and how will be useful, and how many people are going to get benefit out of it.
Well, this is the story of blockchain and fractionalization, right? Is to be able to reach the unbanked, right? So it's not even talking about people who are not super wealthy. We're talking about people within a population that don't even have access to a bank account. But because they have a mobile phone, they can download a wallet and they can have access to blockchain assets. And that's where we think democratization would work, because you would be able to reach the furthest parts of the world and the people who are the least noticed in all of our central cities today. And that's what we hope to be able to achieve.
How do you create awareness about it and how it is working now?
Well, look, awareness is something that's actually very, very difficult. To be honest, even though, Bitcoin has been around for more than 10 years now. And I remember when it was first mentioned to me was something like 2014, I think. But Bitcoin was already available before 2014. And, awareness takes years, takes a lot of time. But if and the things that, sometimes technology, people in the technology industry tend to be very impatient. And I think it is actually important to be patient. As it is today, technology has been able to help us accelerate a lot of things that we do, right? So I believe that awareness will be much faster than 10 years ago because of the technology that we have available to us today. But we're not in a hurry or necessarily, have any major urgency to ensure massive adoption from day one. We would prefer to build our reputation and let people get to know us over time rather than in a hurry. Because we're not really into the hype and speculation. We're more into a real sustainable business.
Who are your customers?
So look, initially, our customers are really governments and institutions, right? Because to create a product like that that is so disruptive to the traditional finance industry is obviously a very, very difficult and a tall order. That's why we work very closely with regulators, we work very closely with governments, because we need that buy-in before we can roll something like this out. And then, of course, after we've rolled it out, then our intermediate customers would be like banks, right? Because we're not really, going to start by immediately doing, a lot of marketing and hype, right? So we want to first reach out to the traditional banking customers. So we want to do distribution through the banks in a very regulated and licensed manner. Obviously, your question would be, then how are we going to reach the unbanked, right? But the fact is that this is a slow release. So we begin with all the different stages. And the good thing about blockchain is that if people do come and find out about us and know about what we're doing, then it's very easy for them to get access.
So what problems that you want to solve with your business?
Well, the real problem that we're trying to solve is, like I mentioned, to make available very sophisticated and very effective investment opportunities and strategies to anybody who's looking out for it. So, the one of the biggest issues with investments and securities, given my legal background, is that, there are a lot of restrictions all over the world about marketing securities or marketing investments to people. And therefore we're very, very careful about that. And actually from our perspective, that's the reason why it's important that it is a reverse inquiry, that people know about us because of our reputation. They seek us out, then, they can look for the access on their own. But the real problem that we're trying to solve, like you, back to your question, is really to grant access to everybody, so that everyone has the opportunity to build wealth in their lifetime.
So how your knowledge, as a person, who is into legal thing and, studied law, how that experience or that knowledge is contributing to this particular technology and service that you're providing.
Yeah, so it's been huge. It's been really helpful. We've heard about how the SEC is going after Bot 8, going after OpenSea, and they went after XRP, they went after Coinbase, and so on and so forth. All of that heartache and all of that problems could have been avoided if, let's say, they had a very strong legal team that could help them navigate those regulatory pitfalls right at the beginning. But still, having said that, obviously, the new administration in the US is now warming up to crypto, and obviously a lot of these actions have been, either halted or actually revoked, and in all the and. I'm actually very happy for all of those people because obviously their intention was not actually to breach securities laws, but like I said, having the knowledge would actually help these companies navigate and avoid these problems from the very beginning.
So, which countries are using your service?
Well, right now, we're actually in the process of applying for our licenses in Dubai, from under VARA, which is the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority. So hopefully when we get that, then obviously we can do, proper marketing of our products in the UAE. But apart from that, all common law countries can easily have access because all of our tokens actually contain, legally binding rights, interests, and ownership into the tokenized asset under common law. Right. So if you come from a partial or fully common law jurisdiction, you would have easy access, and you would be able to very easily understand the terms and conditions in the tokens, which would then enable you to make a proper informed decision before you buy these tokens.
So, what investments?
I'm sorry?
What kind of investments that you are supporting for?
Oh, so it can be anything. Like I mentioned earlier, we use machine learning as well as AI to outperform indices. So, for example, if somebody is looking for, or for example, one very simple example, if someone is crazy about investing in Tesla shares, okay, but they want to incorporate some AI and machine learning so that they can minimize the risk because Tesla shares are very volatile. It can go up very quickly, but it can also come down very quickly. What we could do, for example, is to create, a risk management around the trading of Tesla shares so that you minimize the downside, but you maintain as much of the upside as possible. So all of this is actually available. So any kind of investments that you can think of, we can actually tokenize.
So you said you're mainly concentrating on ordinary people, not the rich people. So how it is helping to people who are not rich?
Yeah, so the good thing is that if we are creating, for example, a product that is going to be made available to wealthy people, that same product, because it's fractionalized, can be easily accessible by anybody who, may want to buy something for only $10, as opposed to the wealthy who can get access to this kind of products when they only have 25 million, right? So it's that's how you create access to the people who are not so wealthy.
What is the size of your business?
Well, the size is obviously very huge. In terms of structured notes, for example, last year alone we sold probably about $1 billion worth of it. However, having said that, that was in the traditional finance. Like I mentioned to you, we are only going into tokenization more recently. And previously on the $1 billion that we sold, most of it were institutional or very wealthy clients because the minimum investment was 25 million US.
And tell me about your team.
So, well, I have a team that sits all over the world, very international. So I am, originally from Singapore, but I now live in Hong Kong. But I spend half my time in Dubai. And my CEO is based out of Singapore, and he travels to Hong Kong and to Dubai on a regular basis as well. And so does the rest of my C-suite team, right? So including my CTO, my chief admin officer, my chief risk officer, for example. We travel all over all the time. But we are very international because within my team, we have people in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in Dubai, in the US, and in China.
So, your business actually involves in AI and, the legality and also, the technology and also the finances. So, how you are integrating all these things?
Yeah, so this is the most difficult part. People talk about tokenization, for example, of traditional finance products, like, they want to tokenize real estate, they want to tokenize, private equity funds, for example. It is actually very difficult because the lawyers understand the law, but they don't know how the tech works. The tech people think that they don't have to comply with the law because it's virtual asset, because it's on a blockchain. And the finance people can't understand the law nor the tech, right? So it's very, very difficult. I think my team and myself, we've been very fortunate, given my background, because I was legally trained and I went to investment banking and I started looking after fintech companies. That has helped us integrate all those three parts in order to make the products that we create work.
So, what exactly the solution that people are getting benefit from your service?
Well, today, when you buy a token, it is pretty problematic because it is very difficult to clear legal due diligence, right? I think one of the issues that was raised, for example, by the Federal Reserve in a report last year was that there is no legal connection between the token and the tokenized asset, right? So let's say, for example, I say I tokenize real estate. So where does it say that the token is connected to the real estate, right? Because the fundamental problem is that if you take the token to court and say, look, someone sold me this token and say that this token represents the real estate, but the court needs a legal document to actually enforce those rights that you claim that you have. But the fact is that a lot of tokens don't contain anything, right? So, for example, in Yuga Labs for Bored Apes, I think there was a point in time when they had to create a separate license agreement that is separate from the NFT and say that, look, you have the rights to your Bored Ape through the license agreement, but your license agreement is not part of the NFT. So holding the NFT is of no value because it doesn't contain any of the rights to the copyright, which is actually contained in a separate document. So the main thing that we do is that we create tokens that you can bring to court, where the court can actually look at the token and tell you what rights you have, and therefore be able to enforce them. That is magical. That's something that's the solution that we're providing.
You worked in different banks and you spent a lot of time in working in different banks in your career. So, how that experience is contributing to this business and to your customers?
Well, so there are two things. First of all, given my legal background, obviously I was not trained in finance. So going into the banking industry actually helped me, hone my finance skills, right? So I learned how to price derivatives during my job in the bank. I learned how to create financial structures that could be tax efficient and that could actually be structurally efficient, given the cross-border transactions. I also learned how to present opportunities to potential investors. So those are the three things I think that was unique in terms of the skills that I managed to pick up whilst I was working within the investment banks. But I think at the end of the day, what is the most important, I think, is for every individual is your own EQ and your ability to understand what is required to perform your job. And anybody can do a good job as long as they understand what they're doing.
So, different land has different laws. So, how your service is going to help different countries?
Okay, so this is a very, very good question, right? So This is the reason why we use common law as the basic premise, right? So today, the question you just asked is absolutely correct. But at the same time, for example, international bonds market, they are actually being traded all over the world in all different countries. And the reason why there is a common thread between all of these countries is because those bonds, the fundamental basis of those bonds is actually common law. Okay. For example, the Uniform Commercial Code, right? So for example, there's a lot of trade finance being done across different countries, even though they all have different laws, right? But because all the countries generally recognize the Uniform Commercial Code, the Universal Commercial Code. So therefore, whatever trade finance and whatever cross-border transactions you do will be governed by those contracts. So that is the basis of which we create our tokens. So our tokens at a fundamental basis is based on common law, which is generally used and accepted in a lot of countries, either partially or fully. And even in pure civil law countries, they would also recognize common law when it comes to international trade or international transactions. However, the individual countries' regulations will come into the picture when you're doing distribution. So for example, after we create tokens, if you wanted to sell the tokens in a certain country, then you need to comply with the regulations of those countries before you can actually do a full marketing or do a full distribution in that country. And that's what we do. So we focus first of all on the fundamental laws, and then when we do distribution, we start looking at all the different jurisdictions and comply with that jurisdiction's regulations before we do distribution. That's generally how you work around the different jurisdictions.
So, what are the common questions that most of your customers ask you?
Well, interestingly, most customers are only interested in whether or not they are going to make money or lose money, right? So they're going to ask questions like, "Oh, am I going to make money out of this?" But I think usually we don't want to give financial advice, right? All we can tell you is the functions of the terms and conditions and the AI as well as the machine learning that we put around these investment strategies, right? At the end of the day, everybody must be responsible for their own decision when they make investments. So in that respect, that's one question we usually tell them to seek independent advice. And then the second question which we can answer would be, how do I know that I am legally protected? Right? How do I know that when I buy this token and you tell me that the token represents, for example, a risk managed Tesla shares? How do I know that? That I can answer, because that we can actually show them the legal documentation that reflects what they're going to get from the token. We will also typically with all the tokens we get a legal opinion confirming that the documents that we've created in the token are legally binding, and that would be those are the two most frequent questions that we are being asked.
So, what are the questions? I mean, what are the questions that non-technology users ask about your service?
Non-technology users, look, I think this is one of the most important things is this. Technology is supposed to function in the background, never to be seen, never to be, never to be something that is out there to confuse users, right? So, like for example, when we turn on this video conference, we're not going to ask, how did this happen, right? Why is it that I can see your image, and why is it that you can see my image? Nobody talks about the technology, right? We only talk about how do we use it and how does it benefit us. The funny thing about blockchain is that everybody only talks about the technology. It's like, oh, how great my technology is, oh, it's decentralized and all that, all that stuff. But the ordinary users don't really care about such things. But the reason why blockchain keeps going back and telling everybody about technology is because nobody has figured out what is the purpose of the technology, right? Yes, you create all these cryptocurrencies, but okay, but so what? How is it helping us? How is it helping the world? So the only way they can tell you, oh, it's very valuable is because the technology is great. But that's not how we look at it, right? Blockchain has to be useful to ordinary people as well. And it's supposed to function in the background where nobody knows what's going on, right? And what is the use of it? Well, it's things like the fact that it can be traded 24 hours, 7 days a week, right? If I can trade a token without waiting for my investment banker or my broker to get up from bed and take my order, right? That's important, right? The stock exchange, the exchange doesn't close on weekends, right? Today, you want to trade Tesla shares, I can't do it on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, right? All of that is supposed to be the benefit of what blockchain technology can bring to the user without them having to understand how the technology actually works. And that's the thing that we are trying to educate people about today.
So in the beginning of the discussion, you mentioned about the laws that most of the people are not aware of about which are involved in the technology. So how are you are able to make the technology service that you're providing to be useful and to be healthy to normal uh, you know people who don't know what is technology and what is how the law applies for it.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. I think a lot of technology companies, especially startups, they don't necessarily have the resources to hire the best lawyers to help them navigate, a lot of things that they're doing today. I would really strongly encourage all of your users, especially technology startups, to reach out to me. Because we have an accelerator. We're happy to provide all the necessary guidance to startups as advisors, and as well as how do I say this, as a minority shareholder, in order to help them grow and in a manner that's sustainable, and where they would not have to worry about legal or regulatory pitfalls, right? So I hope that some of the users or some of your viewers and audience, when they hear this, will be very happy to first of all reach out to you, and then you can actually provide my contact to them. And obviously, I may not have time to personally handle every single request, but I definitely have a team that would be happy to speak with them.
So what about the security aspect when it comes to your application?
So we're not technology experts. We're actually technology agnostic. We care more about the legal rights and the legal enforceability of these tokens more than the technology security. So what we do is we typically use, for example, the blockchain that other people have created. So we don't try to create our own blockchain. And we will always upgrade ourselves to the best blockchain that's available out there, because the rights are the things that are contained in the documents, not in the technology, right? So for example, if tomorrow somebody creates a quantum resistant blockchain, we can move on to the quantum resistant blockchain from where we are today, right? We're actually upgradable. Unlike Bitcoin, you cannot be upgraded, because if you hold Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's technology becomes obsolete, you're still holding on to an obsolete technology. But in our case, it's not, because in our case, you're actually holding on to a piece of land, or you're holding on to, for example, to the rights to a Tesla shares. It's not about the technology. That right can be upgraded to a better technology. And similarly, the use of whether we use a centralized exchange or decentralized exchange, we depend on the people running the exchanges to make sure that they are properly secure. And basically, our users or token holders can choose which platforms they want to use, and they can easily similarly to what we're doing, they can upgrade to a better exchange in order to trade their tokens, for example.
So what is the best compliment that you got?
Oh, the best compliment that I've got? Honestly, the best compliment that we've got so far is people giving us a completely shocked face, saying that they didn't know that what we're doing is actually possible. That to me is a huge compliment. It just demonstrates how most people are not aware of the solution that we're providing and the problem that we are trying to resolve.
So what do you say to my audience who are listening and watching this conversation from anywhere on this planet about the work that you're doing and also the service that you're providing?
Well, I would really tell every single audience to look at us as a friendly and helpful partner, right? And whenever they need more help, because look, we live in a world where technology is moving and advancing very, very quickly. Okay, very often people say that the law and the regulations are not catching up with technology, but that's actually not true. If you find someone who actually understands the law and understands technology, they would help you. They would be able to help you navigate the laws and the regulations, so that whatever you're doing, and no matter how cutting edge your technology is, you will always be protected. And that's the message that I want to send to your audience.
So I'll put your web link in the description of this video, also on the screen as well. People who find our video anywhere in the internet can able to see the work that you're doing and can able to follow what you are you're doing.
Absolutely, I'll be happy with that. Thank you so much.
So can you share your can you spell your website to my podcast listeners who are listening this on audio?
Just spell it out. Okay, so I think they should look. I think as far as looking for any advice or looking for help when it comes to tokenization of any kind of real world assets, and includes both tangible and intangible assets, they should go to tokenize.com. So it's spelled TOKENIS3 as in the number 3.com. So what we've done is we've replaced the E with a 3 with the number 3.com. So please you can find us there. Thank you.
So at last, one last question is what is your observation about my work as a business owner and as also a guy who is into technology and law and also into banking?
No, look, I think you're a young, driven person. I'm really very impressed. That's the reason why I was delighted to have this conversation with you. I think I want to give you full encouragement. I want you to know that whatever work you're doing out there is fantastic. For someone like you to be able to take this challenge, I think it's actually wonderful. I hope there are more young people like you, to be honest. And I think, people like you will make this world a much better place. So please keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, sir. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel and my podcast and on internet with your permission?
Oh, absolutely. Please do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you very much.
Okay. Cheers. Cheers, Sai.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Bye. Bye.